Archaeologists opened a 500-year sealed cave. What they found inside shocked the world. Hello, and welcome to the Ancient History Channel. Dear friends, have you ever noticed something truly fascinating? The deeper humans venture beneath the Earth's surface, the closer we come to the past. While time, wars, and natural disasters have erased countless traces of ancient civilizations on the surface, inside dark and hidden caves, many things seem to have remained remarkably preserved for hundreds or even tens of thousands of years. That is why cave archaeology has always been considered one of the most fascinating yet challenging fields in archaeology. Each cave is like a massive archive created by nature itself. Some caves hide mysterious human remains, while others preserve remarkably intact mummies without requiring any artificial mummification techniques. Even something as simple as a handprint left on a rock wall or a small forgotten artifact can completely change what we once knew about human history. Because of this, every time archaeologists step into a previously unexplored cave, they never know what might be waiting ahead. It could be a discovery that shocks the scientific world, or it could be a mystery that leaves humanity searching for answers for many years to come. In today's journey, we will explore some of the most extraordinary caves around the world. Places where archaeologists have uncovered thousands of years old mummies, mysterious skeletons, chilling sacrificial rituals, and traces of civilizations that disappeared long ago. Each location carries its own unique story. Some discoveries leave us amazed, while others make us shudder as we witness what ancient humans left behind. Which discovery will surprise you the most? Join me as we step into the dark yet captivating world of cave archaeology, where every step beneath the Earth's surface has the potential to change everything we thought we knew about the past. Let's begin our journey right now. 8. Nearly 800-year-old mummies found in a Lebanese cave perfectly preserved without any mummification process. When we think of mummies, we often immediately imagine human remains preserved through extremely advanced and complicated techniques. But can you believe that there are still mummies nearly 800 years old that were preserved without the use of any embalming substances, while their bodies and many accompanying belongings remained almost completely intact? It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? Yet this unbelievable discovery actually happened inside a cave hidden among the rugged mountains of Lebanon, a country in the Middle East. What surprised archaeologists the most was not only the extraordinary preservation of the remains, but also the touching stories of the people who had rested there since the 13th century. The story began in July 1990, when a group of scientists specializing in cave research conducted a survey of the Asi al-Haddath cave, located in the Qadisha Valley in northern Lebanon. At first, it was simply a geological exploration, similar to many other research missions. However, the deeper they ventured into the cave, the more they realized they were standing before an extraordinary archaeological discovery. Right in front of them were 8 mummies preserved in almost perfect condition, despite having spent hundreds of years beneath the mountains. After further examination, experts determined that the remains belonged to 4 children and 3 adult women. In addition, they discovered a male skull and a fetus, suggesting that this site had once been the final resting place of an entire group of people from the same community. What made the discovery even more remarkable was that there were no signs showing that these bodies had undergone artificial mummification methods like those practiced in ancient Egypt. Instead, they had been naturally preserved entirely by the unique conditions inside the cave. Among the remains discovered, researchers paid special attention to a small mummy lying quietly inside the cave. It was the body of a baby girl who was only about 4 months old when she died. Experts named her Yasmin as a way to preserve the memory and story of the child who had rested peacefully for nearly 8 centuries. What touched researchers deeply was that Yasmin was still wearing 3 layers of clothing. These included a blue dress, a beige garment, and an outer layer of dark beige fabric. Her body was placed lying on her back, with her head gently resting on a smooth stone slab, as if someone had carefully prepared her final resting place. Not only that, the baby was still wearing earrings and a necklace. Beside her mummy, archaeologists also discovered a strand of darker hair, along with bay leaves, almonds, walnuts, garlic peels, and onion skins. These objects helped scientists better understand the burial traditions and daily life of the people living in Lebanon during the Middle Ages. Through their research, experts believe that Yasmin was buried directly beside her mother, The positioning of the two bodies closely matches traditional Lebanese burial customs, where children were often placed on the left side of their mothers. This small detail not only reflects cultural practices, but also reveals that deep family bonds continued to be honored even during the final rituals of life. The objects buried alongside the 8 remains also helped archaeologists determine the approximate time of their death and burial, which was around the year 1283. This means these mummies have existed for nearly 800 years, yet they have maintained a remarkably preserved condition. According to experts, the secret behind this incredible preservation was not any type of chemical substance, but rather the natural environment inside Asi al-Hadath cave. The dry air, combined with extremely low humidity levels, created ideal conditions that slowed down the natural decomposition process of the bodies. As a result, the remains were preserved almost completely intact for centuries without requiring any artificial mummification techniques. Furthermore, research has shown that all of the individuals discovered inside the cave belong to the Maronite community, a Christian community that has lived in Lebanon for many centuries. The discovery of these naturally preserved mummies reveals that by the end of the 13th century, Asi al-Hadath cave in the Kadisha Valley was not only a place of shelter, but also a living space for the Maronite people during a turbulent period in history. Today, the 8 Maronite mummies have been transferred to the National Museum of Beirut, the capital city of Lebanon, where they are preserved and displayed for research purposes. Experts continue to apply modern conservation methods to protect these nearly 800-year-old remains and ensure that they can be studied by future generations. You see, sometimes a dark and forgotten cave can preserve an entire historical story that has lasted for centuries, and the 8 mummies discovered in Asi al-Hadath cave in Lebanon's Kadisha Valley are a powerful example of that. So, what do you think? If those explorers had never accidentally stepped into this cave in July 1990, would the secrets of the people who rested there nearly 8 centuries ago have remained forever hidden in the darkness? I believe the answer is yes, because the truth is quite clear, isn't it? An ancient treasure, hidden inside a cave, sealed for 500 years, that shocked the archaeological world. What would you think if I told you that, even in a world where modern technology has advanced beyond imagination, there are still caves that have been forgotten by humans for hundreds of years, and that simply stepping inside one of them could completely change what we know about history? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? It almost feels like something straight out of an adventure movie. But surprisingly, this is a completely true story that happened inside Tlayocac Cave, located in the state of Guerrero, Mexico. This place, which seemed to contain nothing more than darkness and silence, had hidden a secret for nearly 500 years until it was accidentally revealed, leaving archaeologists completely amazed. The story began in 2023, when Russian cave explorer Yekaterina Katia Pavlova, together with local guide Adrian Beltran-Dimas, conducted an exploration and mapping expedition inside Tlayocac Cave. This cave system was believed to have remained almost untouched, with no one venturing deep inside for many centuries. Because of that, every step they took felt like they were opening a forgotten chapter of history buried beneath the passage of time. During a short rest in a deep section of the cave, the 2 explorers suddenly noticed strange objects lying quietly between the rock crevices. As they examined them more closely, they realized these were not ordinary items. Instead, they were 14 ancient artifacts that had survived in astonishing condition for hundreds of years. That moment transformed what had started as a normal exploration into one of Mexico's most remarkable archaeological discoveries in recent years. Recognizing the importance of these objects, Yekaterina and Adrian immediately reported their discovery to the National Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico, so that specialists could investigate further. Afterward, an archaeological team along with a local historian entered Tlayocac Cave to carefully examine the entire area, verify the origins of the artifacts, and search for any additional traces left behind by the past. At first, many believed the investigation might not reveal anything extraordinary. However, the results of the excavation and research shocked everyone. Among the 14 artifacts discovered were 3 bracelets believed to have been made from mother-of-pearl shells, 1 bracelet fragment crafted from mollusk shell, 1 marine shell that had been drilled and decorated, 1 carbonized piece of wood, 2 complete stone discs, and 6 additional fragments of stone discs. Each object carried its own unique characteristics, reflecting the craftsmanship, beliefs, and daily life of a culture that existed long before Europeans arrived in this region. Through detailed analysis, scientists determined that all of these artifacts date back to a period between approximately 950 and 1521 AD. This was the era when the Tlacotepehuah people lived in the region that is now part of the state of Guerrero, Mexico. Because of this, the discovery has opened a new window for archaeologists, allowing them to gain a deeper understanding of an ancient community that has left behind very few historical records. What especially interested researchers was that the artifacts were not randomly scattered throughout the cave. Based on their arrangement and characteristics, archaeologists believe that around 500 years ago, the Tlacotepehuah people intentionally brought these objects into the cave as offerings during sacred rituals, possibly to ask their gods for protection and blessings for their community. For many pre-Hispanic cultures, caves were not simply places of shelter. They were believed to be gateways connecting the human world with the underworld, where gods and spirits were thought to exist. Therefore, every object placed inside a cave could have carried a deeply meaningful spiritual purpose. Even today, scientists know very little about the Tlacotepehuah people. That is why the artifacts recently discovered inside Tlacote Cave are not merely ancient objects that survived for hundreds of years. They could become valuable pieces of evidence that help researchers uncover the story of a civilization that has almost disappeared from history. And it is very possible that deeper within the darkness of this cave, more secrets are still waiting to be discovered. So what do you think? Are these artifacts the complete treasure that remained hidden for 500 years? Or does Tlacote Cave still hold even greater mysteries that humans have never uncovered? If you have your own answer, don't hesitate to leave a comment below and share your thoughts with everyone. Let's discuss this incredible discovery together. Seven mysterious mummies discovered inside a cave in Saudi Arabia. Imagine this. One day, you step inside a cave hidden among the vast deserts of northern Saudi Arabia. Instead of finding traces of ancient humans, you suddenly come face to face with mummies that have existed for more than 4,200 years, but they do not belong to humans. What would that feeling be like? And what makes this discovery even more fascinating is that, at first glance, these mummies immediately remind many people of the famous mummies of ancient Egypt, even though they were never wrapped in linen cloth. If you still cannot imagine what that moment must have felt like, then let's travel together to a cave near the city of Arar, Saudi Arabia, because it was exactly there that archaeologists experienced a discovery just like this. The story began recently, during an exploration of caves located near Arar in northern Saudi Arabia. This region is well known for its extremely dry climate, intense heat throughout the year, and very limited signs of life. Inside these caves, archaeologists discovered 7 mysterious mummies that had remained undisturbed for thousands of years while still preserving their remarkable forms. At first glance, everyone believed they were human mummies. However, after careful analysis, experts determined that these remains were completely different from what many had originally assumed. Instead, these mummies actually belonged to cheetahs, Acinonyx jubatus, with ages ranging from 127 years to more than 4,223 years old. The oldest specimen had existed for over 4 millennia. Hearing this, it is hard to imagine that a dry and scorching desert could preserve such valuable biological remains so remarkably, isn't it? Because of this extraordinary discovery, a team of scientists from Saudi Arabia, Austria, Australia, and Poland, led by Ahmed Al-Boug, Director of Terrestrial Conservation at the National Wildlife Conservation Center in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, conducted detailed research on all of the specimens to uncover the mystery behind them. The results of their study were later published in the scientific journal Communications, Earth and Environment, attracting worldwide attention from both archaeological and biological communities. What surprised researchers even more was that, besides the 7 nearly intact mummies, the team also discovered the bones of 54 additional cheetahs scattered throughout the same cave system. This provided evidence that the area was once home to, or served as a refuge for, a large population of cheetahs in the past. Through DNA analysis and examinations of physical characteristics, scientists determined that the oldest specimens belonged to West African cheetahs, while the younger remains were identified as Asian cheetahs. This discovery is especially significant because thousands of years ago, cheetahs were widely distributed across the Arabian Peninsula. However, over time, their populations declined dramatically around the world. Today, cheetahs have disappeared from approximately 91% of their historical range, and they have not been recorded in the Arabian Peninsula for many decades. Therefore, these mummies preserved inside the caves have become an incredibly valuable source of information, helping scientists better understand the evolutionary history and population changes of this rare animal species. But perhaps the question that fascinates people the most is, why did these cheetahs become naturally mummified without any evidence of human intervention? To answer this question, researchers carried out detailed examinations. After a series of analyses, they finally confirmed that these were entirely natural mummies. The harsh desert environment was responsible for creating this rare phenomenon. Extremely high temperatures combined with very low humidity caused the fluids inside the bodies to evaporate quickly before bacteria had enough time to break down the soft tissues. Not only that, many of the remains were also rapidly covered by fine layers of sand, preventing air from reaching the bodies and slowing the decomposition process. In other words, it was a natural race between the forces of the desert and bacteria, and the desert climate completely won. But the discovery does not end there. According to researchers, this finding also shows that caves were not only shelters for animals in the past, but also acted like natural archives, preserving ancient biological evidence for thousands of years. These precious specimens are helping scientists reconstruct the history of biodiversity in the region and supporting future cheetah conservation efforts as well. What an incredible discovery, don't you think? Hundreds of human bone fragments inside the blood cave reveal terrifying sacrificial rituals of the Maya civilization. My friends, imagine this. What would happen if a cave that seemed to contain nothing but darkness was actually hiding hundreds of human bone fragments, deliberately cut into pieces and left undisturbed for nearly 2,000 years? Would they be the remains of a brutal battle, an ancient disaster, or perhaps evidence of a ritual that is almost impossible for people today to imagine? For archaeologists, the answer was discovered in a place known as the Blood Cave, or Cueva de Sangre. This cave is part of an underground cave system located beneath the ancient Maya city of Dos Pilas in northern Guatemala. Although this cave network was first mapped by researchers in the early 1990s, it was not until more detailed scientific studies were carried out that experts realized this place was hiding a secret buried for thousands of years. That secret was hundreds of fragmented human bones scattered across the cave floor, discovered after archaeologists removed layers of soil and mud during an excavation inside the cave. To better understand these remains, specialists immediately began conducting research and analysis. Their results revealed that most of the bones belonged to people from the Maya civilization, individuals who were believed to have been sacrificed nearly 2,000 years ago. This discovery immediately attracted great attention from researchers because it provided direct evidence of sacrificial rituals that once existed within ancient Maya society. According to archaeological records, the Cueva de Sangre cave system dates back from approximately 400 BC to 250 AD. This was a period when the Maya civilization was flourishing throughout the region. For the Maya people, caves were not simply places of shelter or natural geological formations. They believed caves were gateways connecting the human world with the realm of gods and spirits. Because of this belief, the blood cave was often chosen as a location for sacrificial ceremonies intended to pray for rainfall, successful harvests, and balance between humans and nature during important seasonal transitions. One of the researchers directly involved in the study was anthropologist Michelle Blows from California State University, Los Angeles. After analyzing the human remains, she explained that the victims of these rituals experienced violent deaths as their lives were offered to the gods according to Maya religious beliefs. What makes this discovery especially remarkable is that the bodies were not buried in the traditional manner seen in many other cultures. Instead, they were placed directly on the cave floor as an essential part of the sacrificial ceremony. In addition to the human remains, researchers also discovered red ochre, a material commonly associated with many ancient rituals, along with blades made from obsidian, a volcanic stone known for having edges sharper than steel. The presence of these artifacts together further strengthens the theory that Cueva de Sangre was once a sacred location where sacrificial rituals were performed repeatedly throughout the height of the Maya civilization. To better understand why the bones had been separated into multiple pieces, forensic anthropologist Ellen Fricano from Western University of Health Sciences conducted detailed examinations of each bone fragment. The results showed that many of the bones contained extremely sharp and precise cut marks, most likely created using obsidian blades. These marks were completely different from injuries caused by warfare or accidents. Instead, they reflected a deliberate process of cutting and separating the remains, carried out with great care and precision. Even more surprisingly, after the rituals were completed, the remains of the victims were not simply abandoned. The Maya people arranged and handled the bones in an organized manner, suggesting that every action followed strict ceremonial rules that had existed for centuries. This detail has helped archaeologists better understand Maya beliefs and the way they viewed the connection between humans and the supernatural world. Another factor that has captured scientists' attention is the unique natural environment of this cave. Cueva de Sangre remains flooded for much of the year. Only during the dry season, which lasts from approximately mid-March to May, does the water level drop enough for people to enter the cave. Researchers believe this was also the period when ancient Maya people accessed the cave to perform their important sacrificial ceremonies. Today, the Blood Cave in Guatemala remains one of the most mysterious archaeological sites connected to the Maya civilization. Every bone fragment, every cut mark, and every artifact discovered inside the cave continues to help researchers reconstruct the story of a brilliant civilization that was also deeply connected to mysterious and complex rituals. What do you think? More than 125 human skeletons found beneath a natural sinkhole, inside a cave in Mexico. Have you ever heard of a natural sinkhole where, instead of containing only crystal clear water, the bottom hides more than 125 human skeletons along with countless secrets buried for thousands of years? That place truly exists. It is the Las Calaveras Natural Sinkhole on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, a site that has long been considered one of the most mysterious archaeological locations in the world. Every time explorers dive into the depths of this sinkhole, they move one step closer to uncovering secrets that could change our understanding of the Maya people and even the earliest inhabitants who arrived in the Americas. As many of you may know, the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico is famous for thousands of cenotes, which are natural deep wells formed when the roofs of underground limestone caves collapse. Some cenotes contain only rainwater, while others are connected to underground rivers and cave systems that stretch for dozens or even hundreds of miles beneath the Earth's surface. To many people, these formations are natural wonders, but to archaeologists, each cenote is like a massive historical archive waiting to be opened. Among them, Las Calaveras is one of the most haunting locations. Why do I say that? Because, as mentioned earlier, beneath the depths of this sinkhole, researchers discovered more than 125 human skeletons scattered across different areas. No one knows exactly how these people ended up there, how they died, or why all of these remains remained at the bottom of the sinkhole for thousands of years. It is precisely these unanswered questions that continue to motivate scientists to explore the mysterious underground world of the Yucatan Peninsula. According to archaeological studies, during the Stone Age, when these caves were still dry, prehistoric humans used them as places for shelter and burial. However, later, as the Maya civilization developed, their understanding of these natural sinkholes completely changed. The Maya believed that these deep underground wells were gateways leading to Xibalba, the underworld also known as the Place of Fear, where gods and spirits were believed to reside. Because of this belief, many cenotes became sacred locations where rituals, offerings, and human sacrifices were performed. To better understand the secrets hidden beneath the earth, in 2010, an international team of experts began using modern imaging technology to survey underground cave systems in Mexico. The results of this project were later featured in the documentary film Caves of the Dead, which premiered in the spring of 2013. This was also the first time these cave systems were recorded using 3D cameras, giving the world a realistic view of an underground world that previously had only been explored by a small number of specialists. However, capturing those images required an extremely difficult journey. To reach the bottom of the Las Calaveras sinkhole, the entire team and all of their equipment had to squeeze through an entrance measuring only about 11 square feet. Director Norbert Vander had to hold on to slippery rock walls while coordinating the entire team in extremely dangerous conditions. Outside the cave, the jungle temperature remained around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, while the high humidity made the air feel as suffocating as a steam room. The greatest challenge was transporting the filming equipment. The specialized underwater 3D camera weighed about 176 pounds and had to be carried through dense jungle for 3 continuous weeks, along with hundreds of pounds of additional support equipment. The underwater filming was handled by 4 deep diving specialists from Kiel, northern Germany. According to them, diving inside these underground cave systems is far more dangerous than diving in the open ocean because of limited visibility, narrow passages, and the constant risk of becoming disoriented. Florian Huber, the leader of the deep diving team and a specialist from the Institute of Prehistoric and Protohistoric Archaeology at the University of Kiel, Germany, explained that every minute of footage in the documentary represented enormous effort and sacrifice. He emphasized that the filming was not simply for entertainment purposes, but also served as an important part of scientific research, helping uncover secrets that remained hidden beneath Mexico's surface. According to Huber, Las Calaveras is only the beginning. Scientists currently know of around 3,000 to 5,000 underground caves, while estimates suggest that the entire Yucatan Peninsula may contain up to 10,000 different cave systems. That means countless mysteries are still waiting to be discovered. Researchers also believe that after the last ice age, around 10,000 years ago, rising sea levels caused ocean water to flow into caves that were connected to the Atlantic Ocean. This flooded areas that had once been used as living spaces and burial sites by prehistoric humans. As a result, many skeletons and stone tools were preserved until today. Later, the Maya also threw pottery, precious objects, and even humans into sacred cenotes as part of their sacrificial rituals. Therefore, beneath these modern-day cenotes are not only human remains, but also bones from extinct animals, such as ground sloths of the Megalonychoidea group and mastodons, creating an invaluable archaeological record. But the discoveries do not stop there. Inside the Toha cave system, scientists also discovered the skeleton of a child estimated to be around 10,000 years old, providing new clues about the earliest inhabitants of the Americas. However, exploring these underground labyrinths has never been easy. Some cave passages extend for nearly 0.6 miles, completely dark and extremely dangerous. A small mistake in calculating oxygen levels could cost divers their lives. For deep sinkholes reaching more than 328 feet, divers must use a special gas mixture called trimix, containing oxygen, nitrogen, and helium to prevent oxygen toxicity or nitrogen-related unconsciousness. Today, scientists are combining 3D modeling, laser scanning technology, and many other modern techniques to recreate entire underground cave systems. According to Guillermo de Anda, a leading cenote expert from the Autonomous University of Yucatan, Mexico, these technologies are incredibly powerful tools for uncovering the history of the region. However, these archaeological treasures are facing a new threat. More and more visitors secretly take human bones, animal remains, or ancient pottery fragments as souvenirs. That is why, alongside exploration, researchers hope that documentaries and scientific studies will help people understand that these places are not merely mysterious tourist attractions. They are priceless cultural and historical treasures that must be respected and protected for future generations. Don't you agree? 10,000 hanging caves suspended on the cliffs of the Himalayas. If you saw thousands of openings scattered across a cliff nearly 165 feet high, what would be the first thing that came to your mind? Some people might think they were natural formations, others might guess they were enormous bird nests. But the truth is far more astonishing, because all of those openings are actually man-made caves, created thousands of years ago and hidden among the Himalayan mountains of Nepal, one of the most remote and challenging regions on Earth. What is truly unbelievable is that even today, archaeologists still cannot answer the most important questions. Who created nearly 10,000 of these caves, and how were they built? Hidden within the ancient Mustang Kingdom, located in central and northern Nepal, this enormous cave system was carved deep into towering cliffs, with some caves positioned as high as 154 feet above the ground. They are located so high that even modern explorers equipped with climbing ropes and specialized gear must make tremendous efforts to reach them. The breathtaking sight is so extraordinary that many people seeing it for the first time believe it could only be a scene created with movie special effects. Yet thousands of years ago, long before any modern technology existed, an unknown civilization created an entire city in the sky that continues to amaze scientists today. According to estimates, archaeologists have discovered around 10,000 artificial caves in this region. This number has stunned researchers because of the enormous scale of the construction. What makes the discovery even more fascinating is that these caves were not built in a single style. Some caves were carved horizontally deep into the cliff walls, while others were dug downward from the tops of mountains like vertical shafts. From a distance, the entire cliff face looks like a gigantic honeycomb or a massive sandcastle floating in the sky. It is this strange and mysterious appearance that has made the site one of the greatest archaeological mysteries in the world. To this day, no one knows exactly who built these caves or what their original purpose was. Most of the caves are now empty, but archaeological excavations have uncovered many signs showing that people once lived there. Inside the caves, researchers have discovered fireplaces, storage areas for seeds, sleeping spaces, and many other traces of daily life. These findings prove that humans once managed to survive for long periods in an environment that seemed almost impossible to inhabit. One of the most important discoveries took place in 2010 when archaeologists conducted deeper investigations inside the caves. They uncovered ancient human skulls, teeth, arm bones, leg bones, and various burial objects, including coffins. These discoveries opened new theories about the history of Mustang and proved that the cave system was not only used as a place to live, but also served as a burial site for ancient communities. Through research, scientists believe that around 1,000 years ago, many families from the Mustang Kingdom lived inside these caves. Although it may sound unbelievable, the environment inside the caves actually provided several advantages. Because they were carved deep into the mountainsides, the caves maintained more stable temperatures and remained warmer during the winter, helping people survive the harsh and freezing climate of the Himalayas. However, life inside these caves did not last forever. By the 13th century, the people of Mustang began leaving their sky homes and moving into traditional villages located in the valleys below. From that point onward, the cave system was gradually abandoned, while mountain winds and the passage of time slowly covered the traces of a civilization that had once existed there. Because of its remote location, surrounded by steep cliffs and deep valleys, the Mustang Kingdom and its mysterious cave system nearly disappeared from the archaeological map for centuries. It was not until 1981, when explorers finally reached the region, that this kingdom in the sky was rediscovered, beginning a series of large-scale studies that continue to this day. Today, Nepal's Mustang region is considered by many experts to be one of the best preserved places where traditional Tibetan culture and ancient ways of life still survive. However, behind its ancient beauty, countless mysteries remain unanswered. Who created these 10,000 caves on cliffs that seem almost impossible to conquer? How did they transport materials, live, and survive at such extreme heights? And what other secrets might still be hidden inside the unexplored caves of a kingdom that has slept silently for thousands of years? Perhaps it will take many more expeditions before humanity can fully piece together the unfinished story of this one-of-a-kind archaeological wonder. What do you think? Leave your answer in the comments below, and let's discuss this incredible mystery together. 40,000-year-old cave handprints that could rewrite human history. For many decades, archaeologists have largely agreed on one assumption: the paintings and handprints found on the walls of prehistoric caves were created by men. This idea seemed completely reasonable, because most ancient cave paintings depict scenes of hunting large animals, such as bison, wild horses, reindeer, and mammoths. Researchers believe that male hunters used art as a way to record their achievements and their daily lives. However, a later study challenged this long-standing belief and nearly overturned a theory that had existed for many years. What surprised researchers the most was that many of these ancient handprints may not have belonged to men at all. Instead, they could have been created by women who lived tens of thousands of years ago. If this conclusion is proven to be correct, the history of humanity's earliest artists may need to be viewed from an entirely different perspective. The discovery that sparked this debate came from Merle Cave, located in southern France. This is one of the world's most famous prehistoric caves, containing numerous ancient paintings preserved in remarkable condition. On the cave walls covered with the marks of time, researchers found not only images of animals familiar from the Ice Age, but also many handprints created by placing a hand against the rock surface and spraying pigment around it. These simple hand impressions have survived for approximately 12,000 to 40,000 years, silently witnessing the rise and disappearance of countless civilizations throughout human history. For many years, archaeologists naturally assumed that the creators of these handprints were men. According to traditional views, prehistoric men were hunters, and they were also believed to be the first artists who recorded human life on cave walls. However, as researchers examined these discoveries more closely, they began to realize that this assumption might not be entirely accurate. The person who helped create a major turning point in this story was archaeologist Dean Snow from Pennsylvania State University. He began his research about a decade ago, building upon the ideas of John Manning, a British biologist. Manning discovered that there are clear differences between men and women in the ratio of finger lengths. This seemingly small physical characteristic opened an entirely new research direction, allowing scientists to estimate the possible gender of the people who left handprints tens of thousands of years ago. At first, Dean Snow was no different from many other researchers. When he examined the handprints on cave walls, he also believed that most of them belonged to men. However, after applying an analysis method based on finger proportions proposed by John Manning, the results surprised him greatly. The research team used computer algorithms combined with data on European hand characteristics to compare and analyze the ancient handprints. After numerous calculations, the results suggested that approximately 75% of the cave handprints were likely made by women. This discovery was extremely significant because it directly challenged the long-held belief that men created most prehistoric cave art. If this hypothesis is correct, the role of women in early human societies may have been far greater than scientists previously imagined. Women may not have only cared for families or participated in everyday activities, but may also have directly contributed to artistic creation, preserved cultural expressions, and shaped the spiritual life of their communities. You can see that even something as small as a handprint on a cave wall can force archaeologists to reconsider many ideas about how humans organized their societies tens of thousands of years ago. Fascinating, isn't it? According to information reported by the Daily Mail, these handprints date back between 12,000 and 40,000 years, and this type of unique prehistoric art was not limited to Pech Merle Cave in southern France. Similar handprints have also been discovered in Spain, Africa, Australia, Argentina, and the island of Borneo. This shows that leaving handprints on cave walls was once a widespread cultural practice among prehistoric humans across many regions of the world. However, like many famous archaeological discoveries, Dean Snow's research has not ended the debate completely. Professor R. Dale Guthrie conducted an independent study and reached a completely different conclusion. According to him, many of these handprints did not belong to women, but may have been created by adolescents instead. This opposing viewpoint has kept the scientific debate alive to this day, as researchers still do not have enough evidence to confirm one theory with absolute certainty. Perhaps this is what makes archaeology so fascinating. Sometimes, it does not take a massive pyramid or a treasure filled with gold to change our understanding of the past. Sometimes, a single handprint preserved on a stone wall can completely transform the way we view ancient humanity. So, who were the true creators of these mysterious handprints? Were they the pioneering women of human history, or were they simply traces left behind by teenagers who lived during prehistoric times? The answer is still waiting for scientists to uncover. Until that day comes, we can only continue watching and waiting for the next discovery that may finally reveal the truth. Smoke mummies over 1,000 years old, hidden deep inside caves in the Philippines. When we hear the word mummies, most of us probably immediately think of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, whose bodies were wrapped in layers of linen and placed to rest inside massive pyramids. However, few people know that in the Philippines, a country located in Southeast Asia, there also existed an extremely unusual mummification method that continues to amaze scientists today. What makes these mummies truly remarkable is that they were not preserved with chemicals or wrapped in cloth. Instead, they were smoked over a fire for months, then hidden deep inside mountain caves. After more than 1,000 years, many of these bodies remain remarkably intact and even the tattoos on their skin can still be clearly seen. So how did ancient people achieve this? And why did this extraordinary tradition almost disappear from history for centuries? To answer these questions, let's travel to the remote mountain regions of Luzon Island in the Philippines, where many ancient caves still exist and are considered sacred places by local communities. Inside these dark caves are burial chambers that have remained silent for hundreds, even thousands of years. There is no gold, no treasure, and no precious jewels hidden inside. Instead, what was preserved there were the so-called smoke mummies, also known as fire mummies. This is considered one of the most unique burial traditions ever recorded in Asia. According to researchers, the creators of these extraordinary mummies were the Iloy people, an ancient community that has lived in the Philippines for approximately 1,000 years. Unlike many cultures that chose burial or cremation for their dead, the Iloy developed a completely different ritual. After a person passed away, the body was placed through a smoking process that continued for many months. The heat and smoke from the fire slowly removed moisture from the body, preventing decomposition and allowing the remains to be preserved for centuries. What amazed archaeologists most was that although this method was based entirely on traditional knowledge, its preservation results were incredibly effective. Even today, many of these mummies still maintain their original shape and appearance. Some even have ancient tattoos clearly visible on their hands and feet after more than a millennium. These markings provide valuable information that helps scientists better understand the tattooing traditions, customs, and spiritual life of the Iloy people in the past. However, this practice of smoking the dead has not been performed in the Philippines for approximately 400 years. Over time, the secrets of this mummification technique gradually disappeared along with the older generations of the community. Because of this, the surviving mummies today have become extremely rare and hold exceptional historical value. One of the most famous locations preserving these fire mummies is hidden deep inside Mount Timbak in Benguet Province, northern Philippines, about 200 miles from the capital city of Manila. To reach this burial site, visitors must first cross dangerous mountain paths and then travel approximately 3,900 feet deep into the cave system. These harsh natural conditions unintentionally helped protect the mummies from human interference and environmental damage for many centuries. When researchers entered the burial chambers, they witnessed many mummies still resting in the exact positions where the Iloy people had placed them thousands of years ago. According to historical records, before being placed inside the caves, each body had to undergo a continuous smoking process lasting for several months. This was not merely a preservation technique, but also an important spiritual ritual that represented the respect and love of the living toward those who had passed away. Experts also suggest that, across the Philippines, there may be around 80 sacred caves used as resting places for these fire mummies. However, most of these locations have never been publicly revealed. The reason is that only the elders of the Iloy community know the exact locations of each cave, as well as the secrets behind the unique mummification methods passed down through generations. To this day, many mysteries surrounding the Iloy smoking mummification process remain unsolved. Scientists continue to study how ancient people were able to preserve human bodies for such a long period using nothing more than smoke and heat from fire. Perhaps somewhere deep within the mountains of the Philippines, more fire mummies are still waiting to be discovered. And perhaps future discoveries will reveal another fascinating chapter in the history of a culture that existed more than 1,000 years ago. Wouldn't that be an incredible discovery? Dear friends, we have just explored together some of the most terrifying secrets hidden deep inside caves around the world. As you can see, every skeleton, every mummy, and every ancient trace does not simply tell the stories of people who lived hundreds or even thousands of years ago. They also help us better understand history and the civilizations that have long disappeared. Perhaps there are still countless unexplored caves around the world, waiting to reveal secrets that could completely change humanity's understanding of the past. But at this moment, which discovery impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow the channel by subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you can continue joining us on many more fascinating journeys of discovery in the future. And now, goodbye, and see you again soon.